Hi, I'm Johnny from UltimatePaperMache.com, and this is the very last lesson that we're going to do with this paper mache cat before we get to actually start adding paper mache to her. I'm going a bit slower than normal on this cat just because I seem to have too many projects going on at the same time. So I know quite a few of you are way ahead of me. On today's lesson, we're going to add some toes. Make some nice little feet on our cat. We're going to add the ears, and we're going to put on a tail. For the toes, I have for each foot, I'm going to be making these little comma-shaped toes. I don't really know what to call that. There's a little ball on one end, and this really is a toe. So there's a knuckle right here at the top, and this is going to go on the foot and have the longer ones in the middle, the shorter ones, and the ball goes pointing down, so the knuckle of course goes up just like ours does. We're going to put two on each side of the cardboard pattern, and we don't want the pattern to show, so we're going to tape that very carefully to one of these long toes here, because we don't really want that to be an extra toe on our kitty. And we want to make sure also that this portion up here doesn't really make a bump too far up on the leg, because that would look weird too. I'm going to go ahead and tape this one on because I know you won't be able to see what I'm doing with my fingers in the way. Okay, we now have the first toe on there, and I'm just going to add the second one in this spot. We can get her to hold still. I'll add the third one, of course, on this side, and the fourth will go right next to it. They'll be in a slight bowed. You know, they're not going to be entirely straight right across, and I'm going to be squishing these rather tightly together to make a small enough foot. But I think this is going to work if I can get them to hold still. I'll go ahead and tape these on. So now we have 4 toes. I'm kind of squishing them. That's one nice thing about the aluminum foil, is that if you get it on there and it just seems to poke out too much or just be not quite the right shape, you can always poke it around. And then I'm just going to fill in back here behind the toes. And we have a foot. It worked. Now we get to give her some ears, and I've already marked here where I think that the ears are going to go. I'm going to have to see, you know, by putting them on there and kind of trying them out if I really found the right spot. I'm sure that there's a scientific way of figuring that out, but I just tend to put them on and move them around until I find something that works. What I need now, though, is 2 ears. The ears are, maybe, I don't know how much longer I've got down here, maybe almost an inch. And I've cut this into little tabs so that I can bend them back. Do that alternately so that you'll have some tabs on the front and some tabs on the back of the ear. This will make it really easy to turn it, so that you can actually tape those tabs together and make the C shape that you need for your cat's ears. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and grab a piece of tape and tape that up right now so that I won't have to be struggling with it. Just going to turn it like that, make a nice C shape. Now I still have tabs, of course, so I'm going to put for the back. I'm going to put those down. Just do one at a time so that I can have a reasonable control over it, which is really hard to do when you're trying to keep your hands away from the camera. And the table's moving. I made this really nice turntable to work on. Really helpful, but it's kind of hard to hold things still when you have a camera going. Well. Now you can't really tell if you have the ear on in the right place until both of them are on. By gum, I think it's going to work. I will go back over it and check it though, of course, before I add the paper mache clay. You probably noticed I'm being pretty sloppy with this armature. I started getting more and more loose about the rules after the paper mache clay recipe was developed, just because I know that all of this messy tape and odd little bumps and everything are going to be covered up. I don't really worry about it anymore, but it does look really bad when people are looking over your shoulder and seeing, oh, that doesn't look good. Okay, now what we get to do is a tail. If your cat has a tail that is going to go really close to her body like this, you actually don't need the wire. I'm just going to do it for demonstration purposes. Now, I've bent it here so that it will hopefully fit around the body. One wire is going to go underneath, the other one is going to go up her back, and those wires are going to be completely covered with masking tape and then covered over with paper mache. You'll never see them. And what I'm going to do is just put it on both sides of this long snake that I've made with my paper. I'm going to tape it on really well. I'll tape this one down first. It's not going to want to stay there because I'm going to do some wrestling with the other end of the tail, but we'll see it. We'll see if it kind of stays put. Maybe. And to make it even more secure, even though I do have the wire there, because my tail is really going to be right up against the cat, I can go ahead and add some tape to keep it where it belongs. Now this would actually be more natural with it not flattened up quite so much. And you may choose to do that. Just go ahead and let the tail sit where it belongs. I'm going to tape mine on just a little bit more carefully. Now this, the paper mache clay will come down, it'll be over it, and it will actually create like the shell, where this won't really be a separate piece anymore. It has to do with the engineering of the sculpture, I guess you could say. Thinking ahead to what might happen to it if it was shipped or dropped. I ran out of that nice white paper that I got from the newspaper office, and it was snowing this morning, so I didn't want to get the bike out to go get some more, so I'm using some of this. The newspaper always sends out the want ads once a week. I don't know why. They actually mail them to everybody whether they want them or not, so I might as well make use of it. So that's it for today. We're now ready to start putting on some paper mache. We're going to do that real soon. These three little things should not take you very long if you're following along at the same pace I am. We should have we should be all ready in a couple of days to start actually finalizing this piece and getting it all finished up. This is going to turn into a very nice sculpture, I think. It's very realistic. I may still do a little bit of work to get the rough exactly the way I want it. I showed you before that I was going to be playing around with the bib, and I've added a little bit of fluff here for her, you know, for the hair that comes out around her face. There may be a few other things that I'll need to change on mine. Go ahead and look at yours really carefully too. Look at your sculpture from all sides, from the bottom, from the top, from every direction, to make sure that you have it looking exactly the way you want it. And the next time I come back, we'll start filling this out and adding some paper mache clay. If you want to use paper strips and paste, that is fine. You certainly can. In fact, I'll give you a little tip when we're ready for it, to show you how to make your sculpture smoother than the paper strips and paste usually allow you to do. Sometimes you'll end up with bumps in weird places, that just because the crumpled paper armature is sticking out in odd places, and it isn't always real easy to get it as smooth as you want it. So I'll give you some tips on that too. So be ready. A couple of days. I'll see you then. Thank you for watching. Come on over and visit me at ultimatepapermache.com. Bye-bye.